sins in my heart are fading, and all the sins in my soul are on the other side waiting. Baby, come home, I need you tonight. Baby, come home, I wanna feel right. Baby, come home, I need you tonight. Baby, come home, I wanna feel right again. I meet the devil at dawn. You know he's bringing my demons along, and I keep saying the same old song. I got the feeling it won't be long. I need you tonight. Baby, come home, I wanna feel right. Baby, come home, I need you tonight. Baby, come home, I wanna feel right again. And when I hear you knocking to see me one last time, I'll hold on to that moment until the end of
Hi, Weed.
What's happening?
How are you?
Good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm really sorry about all the mess ups over the weeks.
Oh, you're fine. Absolutely no problem at all. Yeah, that was crazy. Every week it was either you had something or I had something.
I know. So how was the day so far, Weed?
Good, man. Not bad. We got another big snowstorm coming tomorrow, so
Fantastic.
I think they said another like 10 inches, so we're in for it. It's all good though.
Wonderful. So, Weed, your new album, Outer Space Outtakes, is to be out on March 14th. So, would you like to tell me a bit on the songwriting and production that goes behind this new album?
Yeah, sure. So we got finished up with the last record, and we felt like it was time to change some members. E.T. and I had always been the songwriters in the band since the beginning, and so we had a whole bunch of songs actually from the record before that didn't make the cut just because of length. It wasn't because we didn't like the songs or anything like that. We knew we had some good ones. And when we changed members, we kind of kicked some of these out to them. And we just said, hey, look, what do you think? Which ones fit your style? That sort of thing. And so we rolled with those. But, the songwriting's pretty much been the same since day one. E.T. and I get together after we come up with some ideas on our own. And then, it's a great thing with technology these days. I mean, if it's just something, a riff on a guitar or a drum beat we like or something like that, we can just send it to each other, on the phone, send a file over, Dropbox, whatever it might be. And then once we get like kind of a list together, 20, 30 songs, then we'll actually go to the studio. He's got a studio at his house, and we'll just kind of bang stuff out and see where we go from there. Sometimes it's just a riff, sometimes it's a whole song, sometimes it's a lyrical idea, whatever that might be. And we just start putting it together, and once we're ready to go, then we bring in the rest of the guys. We may or may not rehearse. There's been times where we've rehearsed as a band on the songs to try to woodshed some of that. Oftentimes we just go into the studio for real and say, let's do it here. We worked with Frank Marchand quite a bit. Great producer, great engineer. He's got a lot of great ideas too, so he helps us kind of refine it, and there we go. We're off and rolling.
Wonderful. Does the album have some kind of a single theme or a concept that was focused on?
Well, the reason why we call it Outer Space Outtakes is because, again, we had a whole bunch of songs that were sort of left over from the last record. Some of them were complete, some of them weren't. And so we were just kind of looking and going, oh, look, there's an outtake here. That was pretty good. I like that idea. And a couple of the songs actually were pieces of different songs that we then put together. that seemed to work really well. So, I mean, I think we're sort of going with that same theme we've been going with. At some point, as the story goes, we went with the alien theme because I was trying to do DNA tests, and I actually spit in the vial 3 different times and didn't get any readings. And so I was talking to ET, and he was laughing. He said, "Maybe you're an alien." And so we sort of just went with this whole alien theme and sort of what's beyond Earth. So it's sort of a twofold thing. Sometimes feeling alienated as a human amongst certain groups. And then I guess to take it a step further, just kind of feeling, I guess, maybe small sometimes in the universe and just exploring different things there. What would happen if one day we ran into a bunch of aliens, all the way through, hey, do you feel like an outcast in this situation? Those are kind of prevalent themes throughout a lot of our music.
Fantastic, fantastic. And cool cover art that goes for this album. And would you like to tell me the work behind it and how it all came up together?
Yeah, that was actually that was sort of a gift from the stars, as it would be, because we were using some video footage, and I was going through a bunch of different areas, and I said, "Wow, that's a really cool theme." And it skips my name right now what the actual platform is that we were looking on. But anyways, we found a bunch of different things in that whole alien theme. I was like, "Wow, look at this one! This is so cool! I like this idea. Let's try to develop this with an alien and an astronaut sort of hanging out together." And when that all came together, we're like, "That's it. There's the cover right there."
Fantastic, fantastic. And you recently released your single and music video for Come Home. Would you like to tell me about this song and the making of this video?
Sure. Yeah. No, that was a fun one. ET is a video editor, and so he's got a lot of experience doing some different things. He experimented some with the Flash on this, as you can tell. And really, the song is basically about a situation where that the relationship you're in is probably not a good one. You're sort of dancing with the devil, and you want that person maybe to come back and come home because it's familiar, but at the same time, it's probably not a good idea. And so, as you see in the video, there's sort of that theme where you're like, should I go back? Shouldn't I go back to the girl? And just kind of exploring that and knowing that, if you do, you're probably in trouble.
Good. And speaking about the album, how do you guys feel about the outcome? And when compared to the last album, what are the things that have changed in this album? And what is the expectation that you're keeping up for the fans this time around?
Yeah, I mean, we love the way this turned out. I think each one of our records, they're similar in theme, but they sort of progress. Our sounds becoming more refined. I think ET and I are super comfortable on our fourth record with what we're doing. I wouldn't say we're not experimenting, but we know kind of what works and what doesn't work. So sometimes in the past, we would try something and go, we'd take a song all the way to the end and go, you know what, that one doesn't really fit that well. But I think in this one, we kind of said, look, these are the ones that are going to go really well on this record. And then there are some other ideas that are maybe a little bit different that we're really excited to put on the fifth record of the next one that's coming up. And depending on how our tour schedule goes this year, we're going to try to get it done by the end of the year. That might be a little bit aggressive. But we've got a bunch of songs that are done. The demo versions are recorded. So really it's just a matter of finding the time to get back in there and bang it out. Obviously, we wanted to let this one breathe a little bit, get out there, do some shows. We've got some West Coast shows coming up in May, and we got a couple little mini tours through the East this summer. And we're hoping to land a bigger tour probably early fall. If we can do that and we feel like we're satisfied, like we pushed it enough, then we'll jump back in the studio real quick and see if we can get that thing done before the end of the year.
Fantastic, fantastic. And the album release is almost a month away, and do you guys have some big plans on the day of the release?
We do actually. So we've got a hometown show on the day of the release in Baltimore. We're pretty excited about. It's kind of funny when the band started. We're all Maryland, DC based guys, and it took us. I want to say we didn't play in Maryland for the first. I know the first record we didn't. It probably took us about 2.5, 3 years to play in Maryland because everything just kept happening so quickly. We landed a deal with Pavement Records, which was our previous record. It was a record label. It was a one record deal. But they put us on a 6 week tour cross country with Edema and Flaw. And we were just kind of off and running. And just by chance, we didn't get to play in Maryland. So it was funny when we finally did on the last record, everyone's like, you guys were a Maryland band? I thought you guys were from somewhere else. I mean, obviously our close friends knew, but it was funny. Like some of the bands on the bill were like, I thought you guys were like from California. We're like, no, we're from Maryland. So we're excited to be playing a show. We just did a show here in Maryland a couple weeks ago. Had great turnout. Played with some really cool bands. Silver Tongue, who's also from Maryland, and then Absent Habits, who's from Maryland. Then we had one of the School of Rocks, one of the music schools, come out with the kids, and they opened up the show. So it was a lot of fun. It was a really cool show. So yeah, super excited to be playing on the day that we have the record released and ready to bring it to all the fans in Maryland.
Fantastic. And speaking of touring, are you having some big plans for 2025?
Yeah, like I said, we've got a West Coast swing coming up in May. We're playing at the world famous Whiskey a Go-Go, one of those stops. And then we've got a couple tentative things in June down in the Southeast. And then some mid-Atlantic dates. We've got some beach shows in July, which is great timing down there. And then, like I said, we're trying to hook something up for, a longer, maybe a month-long tour in September. And hopefully we can land something with, a really big band that takes us to the right spot. We'll probably mix in some headlining shows as well, but we really want to kind of get into that, 500 to 1,000 person seat room. And so we probably need to be supporting someone for that at this point.
Fantastic. And before the release, are you planning to come up with another music video from this album?
We are. So we've actually got almost all of it's done for the song First Encounter.
Yeah.
We've got all of the band shots done. We're trying to add in a few other clips that we're still working on. E.T.'s got that. He's actually supposed to be finishing that, I think this weekend, if I'm not mistaken. So super excited to see that one come out. And we're going to hold off on releasing that until when the record hits. And then we're going to push that one on radio as well. So.
Fantastic. And apart from this, do you have some plans with some cool merchandise for the fans and vinyls and CDs are coming up along?
Yeah, we do. So we're gonna have hard copies of the CD on this one. We did on the others, but this one we're gonna do a little bit more elaborate. I think it'll be like a trifold in the CD. The last one was just jackets. We've got new shirts that should be done by the end of this month, which are really cool. It's like an alien with an American flag. We reordered a bunch of our flasks for our friends that like to drink liquor. And then we've got all the standard stuff. We've got lighters. We've got a bunch of the new female T-shirts coming out. We got bumper stickers, all that good stuff still. So koozies. What else in there? I don't know. We got a ton of stuff though. So.
Fantastic. Sounds cool. And coming up with your debut in 2020, within 5 years' time, you have with this Space Outtakes, you have come up with 4 awesome albums. So how do you feel about the road that you guys have traveled so far?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a lot of fun. You never know when you start a band what's going to happen. E.T. and I were playing in another touring band, and we just weren't getting along with the singer very well. And we were out on the road playing a show with Saliva, and we just kind of talked afterwards. We kind of had enough of it. You know what I mean? And so there weren't any real hard feelings. It was kind of like it was just time to go. E.T. and I were writing songs. We were doing things a little bit differently, and we wanted to do something that wasn't what we were doing. So, we got a couple friends. We got Jeff Burrell, who used to play in Kicks, if you remember the 80s metal band. Yeah. He came on board on drums, and Mike Skinzakis from City Fix. And then Rob Wise was our first singer. He was actually in an Alice in Chains tribute band. So you can tell how we've changed a little bit, at least as far as style and vocally. We still have a lot of that grunge sensibility, but the first 2 records with Rob are definitely different because he's got more of it sounds a lot more like Alice in Chains, where now, with the last record with Chris from Flaw and now Grant Walker, there's a little bit more growl, a little bit more aggressiveness. I like both styles, but I think we're going in a really good direction now. And yeah, it's fun because like when you start out, you never know what road you're going to go down. If you would have told me that we were coming up on our 5th record in just about 5 years, I probably would have laughed you out of the building. But here we are, man. So it's all good.
Interesting. And would like to share some of the highlight moments of your career in this band?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I mean, when you start out, you never know what's going to happen. So we were, we put out that EP and we started, playing a bunch. Our first show actually was with Faster Pussycat and Bang Tango. We did a show in New Orleans with Nonpoint. We played with Soulfly in Georgia at the world famous 40 Watt Club. We did some shows with the guys in Dio. It's everybody from the original Dio, except for the singer was from Offspring, I believe. And I'm sorry, I forget his name right now, but great guys. Really cool to play with them. And then shortly after that, unfortunately, COVID hit. So the whole world changed. We had a whole bunch of touring things planned and all this. And we said, well, what are we going to do to maximize our time? So we had to cancel a bunch of dates, and we went back in the studio and banged out that second record, which then once we submitted that to Pavement, got us our first record deal. So once the pandemic started to subside enough, as I mentioned before, we jumped on a 6-week tour with Edema and Flaw. I think it was 32 cities over that 6 weeks, went coast to coast. So it was great, and it really kind of springboarded our career into that next record where we brought Tosh on board from Saliva to play drums and Chris from Flaw on vocals. So that was the last record. Got that out, and then, like I said, when we got back, it was it's kind of difficult to play with somebody that lives that far away. So Chris was in Wisconsin, Tasha was in Los Angeles. We're on the East Coast, so it's tough. It's tough to get together. Again, thank God for technology and all this stuff in 2025. You can send ideas and files back and forth, but it's a lot different than getting together in a room with folks and banging out ideas and getting tight. So, it's nice when you can play with great musicians like that because, we're all skilled. We all been around the block. We can make it happen, but there's certainly a lot more stress to have tour dates and get together for 2 days, before you go out on the road versus rehearsing for a couple months over time and really getting super tight and then going out. So, no, it's been a great ride. Really excited about this record coming out and then doing some tour dates. And, like I said, we're ready for record number 5. So we're ready to go.
Sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. And like to tell me what is the relation now? Not a relation. Why did you want to choose aliens and outer space in particular when it comes with the songwritings?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, it kind of started as a little bit of a joke, a tongue in cheek, that I couldn't find my DNA, so I must be an alien. And so we just went with that theme. It just seemed to make sense. We were laughing about it. E.T. said, "Hey, that's odd, even that we can't find the DNA." And then it was like, "Oh, maybe you're an alien," and off we went. And it just kind of stuck, and then we started exploring different themes and stuff, sort of about. Kind of started with, I mean, what rock and roll is. You're protesting against something. You're trying to stand up against the powers that be. You might feel alienated over here. And then it just kind of evolved in this whole thing about exploring those different topics of, how do you deal with things in your day-to-day life? And then what's on the other side of things? I mean, who knows what's next, in our next life, in our next world, whatever that might be. And so we just really like talking about those themes and the what if, you know what I mean?
Yeah, cool. And finally, any message that you have for the fans around the world?
Oh God, I love them all. It's so great to go out and play for people. I've always said, the worst day at a quote unquote desk job or at work is, I mean, the best day at a desk job is nowhere near as cool as the worst day on the road, right? Like playing music is it, man. It's awesome, and the fans make it all happen. I don't care if there's 2 people, 200 people, 2,000 people, 20,000 people, whatever it is. It's awesome. It's so much fun. So I will say this to many of you that are wondering what happened to us on social media. Our account was hacked this summer, and so we lost about 10,000 fans on Facebook. And there's been a weird kind of thing with linking Facebook to Instagram. So we've been trying to make sure that we're posting on all the platforms. I know the threads has been a little bit messed up. Every once in a while, I try to log on there, or one of the guys tries to log on to just even, put a post, and it says this account has been banned for whatever reason. So we're still trying to get that fixed up. Unfortunately, with all the meta folks and all that, you can't pick up the phone and talk to anybody. So you
Yeah.
just have to send messages to them and hope that it gets appealed and approved. But we went ahead and just said, hey, look, we don't have time for this. Let's rebuild a new site on Facebook, which we did. So we're slowly but surely getting the word back out and trying to build people back in. So to all the fans out there, we did not leave. We're still here. Just search for us.
Weed, I want to thank you so much for giving me today this wonderful opportunity to have you on this interview. And thanks for your upcoming album, Outer Space Outtakes, an amazing album that you guys are putting out this March 14th. And thanks for all the musical awesomeness that you guys been giving to the fans around the world from 2020. And keep up the awesome work, and really looking forward to see you guys on the road.
Awesome. Well, definitely send me your address. We'll get you some merch, get you some gear.
Fantastic, Weed. And thank you, and have a great evening.
All right, buddy. You take care.
Yeah, you too.
All
Bye.
right. Good talking to you. Take care.
Bye.